Welcome back to another episode of NewOrleans.Football. If you're watching this right now on Thursday night, you are a subscriber to the website, and we appreciate you. And if you're catching this on delay, make sure you sign up, use the code NOF, save 20% on your first payment. NewOrleans.Football/subscribe. All of our news analysis, all of it is available to you for just a cheap price of $9 a month. If you use that code, first time 720. So make sure you fix that and sign up today. Get locked in for the whole season. We're going to be going live like this throughout training camp, throughout the regular season. So make sure you are part of that. So take care of that today. All right, welcome back to another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. We're coming to you from our studio on Veterans Memorial Boulevard, right next to my guy, Matt Bowers. Make sure you go check him out for all of your new car needs, your pre-owned needs, whatever it is. They'll get you the best prices, best customer care, the best service at the best car buying experience. Bowers has dealerships all over the region, so make sure you go check one of those out. We're going to talk about everything that happened at camp today. Who was there, who wasn't there is kind of the more important thing, what's going on with Alvin Kamara, and so much more after this quick word from our great sponsors. The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. This Father's Day, show your dad you appreciate his unique style with a Breitling watch from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. Make sure you're ready for the day. Father's Day is June 16th. And if not, maybe you just want to treat yourself. Smash that presentation, nail that deal, achieve that goal. Get yourself a Breitling watch from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, 7713 Maple Street, between Adams and Burdett, Uptown. 504-866-5433. Or visit them at friendandcompany.com. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. Their agents are born and raised in the area and understand our community's unique needs and the homeowners insurance crisis our residents are currently in. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. They know your time is valuable, which is why they work diligently to provide you with the quotes as soon as possible. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. When we couldn't find someone to insure our house because of the big oak tree growing over top, Chabert worked until they found someone that would work with us and give us the protection that we need to feel safe in our new home. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hard Hide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. All right, let's get into the show. I'm Nick Underhill here with Mike Triplett and Brandon Thomas. We got a great show for you guys today. We're going to break it all down. If you aren't signed up for the website, make sure you sign up for that now. And, you'll get all of our news, access, everything we write, the insight, the analysis. You get to podcast early. You get to watch live tapings. We're going live now when big news breaks. So make sure you sign up for the site and you will get all of that. I've been looking at the wrong camera for the last 30 seconds. We're a little bit off the rails. We're about to get on the rails right now because it's time for the lead presented by Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers is the official jewelers of the New Orleans Saints. And if you need to get your dad a Father's Day gift, you better get on that because you are just about out of time. It comes up on Sunday. Why don't you go there and get him a Breitling watch, get yourself one. And while you're there, check out their Florida Lead necklace and earrings that you see on the screen right now. They're especially priced for our NOF audience. Make sure you tell them that NOF sent you.
Lead topic, what to make of Alvin Kamara's last day holdout. We had a little bit of static on the field today during Thursday's last mini camp practice, but the most important thing was who wasn't on the field. Alvin Kamara wasn't on there. He was holding out. So, Mike, can you just provide a little more detail?
Well, I mean, yeah, source definitely confirmed. It was contract related. Not surprising. I mean, Alvin's in a tough spot right now, being a running back about to turn 29 next month. You don't if he becomes a free agent next year, which he's scheduled to be, he's signed through 2025, but there's a balloon payment due that basically makes this the last year of his contract. So he's scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent last year. You don't want to be an unrestricted free agent running back who's about to turn 30, even if you're one of the greatest players in franchise history. So this is the time. He's got leverage when he has one season left. And if he wants to try to force something that gives him a little more security, now's the time to do it. I think we speculated earlier this offseason that the Saints would probably try to approach him about some sort of win-win deal like they did with two other older players, Demario Davis and Tyrann Mathieu. They came with an extra year and less money. I don't know if they offered Alvin the same thing and Alvin doesn't want that. I don't know if they're not offering the extra year at all, but I understand that Kamara probably wants some security, and this is his leverage. So we saw a glimpse of it today. He only did it for basically 2/3 of a practice on one day of minicamp. Training camp, he would lose a lot of money if he held out during training camp, but I wonder if he's prepared to do that if it comes to it.
It's a fascinating situation to me because I don't know how much true leverage he actually has. I mean, he really does have 2 years left on the contract. I know it's practically speaking one, but if you wanted to, I don't know, just have him for one more year and you felt like you had to sign him for an extra year to get him back, you could just pay the money kind of if you had to. I just don't I don't know how it ends. Like I have no idea how this one ends because there's two things here. Like one, I don't think that Alvin's in like any type of steep physical decline. Like obviously he's not the player he was in 17. He's not the player he was in 20, but I don't feel like he's on like a sharp slope. Like I've said this before, even, but a lot of times, like if you watch it, how he runs, like if you watch him and then if you watch Zeke, like there is a difference. Like Alvin has not lost the leg drive. Zeke has lost some of the leg drive. Alvin still has it. The balance is still there. I think he, there's a little bit of a difference in style of play from earlier in his career and everything, but it's still all there. Like if you go look at his yards before contact, it was the lowest of his career. It was like 23rd among backs with 100 carries. It was really low. It shows that the offensive line wasn't doing a great job springing him into other situations. So then you see a deterioration of other stats like broken tackles and different things. But like if you're not getting a lot of separation and your yards before contact have dropped to the lowest of your career, odds are most of the time you're meeting a defender, it's one of the front four and not an outside linebacker, not a cornerback, not a safety. So if you have a better yards before contact, the quality of player you're having to break a tackle from changes, and they're going to be smaller. So you're going to have more broken tackles and all that stuff. So you can look at like these numbers and paint a picture and say like, okay, 3.9, less broken tackles, less this. But I think if you're kind of like actually watching and then you're dissecting what those numbers mean, I think that it kind of spreads back out. And I think it's hard to make that argument based on that kind of stuff. So on that hand, like there's a avenue where it feels okay. On the other hand, he's going to be 29 in 2 weeks. And I don't know, like just.
And this is about next year. That's the problem.
Yeah. Modern analytics tell you that it's just not a good idea to pay people into their 30s. Now, very, very possible he ends up being a huge outlier and you get him in a good system that builds a good run game that does all this different stuff to put people in better positions for success, and those numbers go up. And then maybe you are in a Christian McCaffrey-like situation, and you kind of throw all that stuff out the window and you focus on the guy you have here because it's extremely possible. But it's a tough battle. Like I think on both sides. Like if I don't know why the Saints necessarily, acquiesce to this, and I don't see why Alvin would give up on his side either. I don't know who should fold here. Like the last time Alvin held out, it was like, pay him. Like, okay, like cool. It takes him up until he's 30. It's a lot of money on a running back. Yeah, whatever. Who cares? Like he does a ton of stuff in the pass game. He hasn't aged really at all. Then he comes out, has the best season of his career. I think the way it was called has led to the downfall the last 3 years. I think the way they called plays took Alvin out of the Hall of Fame. I don't think Alvin's career took him out of there. I think the way they put him in situations took him out of the Hall of Fame. But I have no idea how this ends. I honestly have no idea at all how it ends. I do know that they've talked before, like about this, and I actually heard it before minicamp when I was trying to check in to see if he was going to show up, just to make sure. Is there anything funny going on? And I was like, what I got back is like it's kind of up in the air. Like when we went there that first day, I didn't know if he was going to be there because like earlier that morning I had heard it was up in the air. So, I mean, and now he's not there. on the third day we see him leaving. I mean, so it probably was up in the air from day one whether or not he was going to practice or not. Maybe it wasn't, but I mean, just the smoke I was seeing, like I was seeing smoke, and then it turns out, oh, there was a fire. So yeah, I mean, I know they talked about contract. I heard they weren't particularly close. Maybe there was a thought process that it was, maybe getting some. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much.
Since this is the result, why did he show up to minicamp? Was it for
well,
like
you get fined
image?
every day. I mean, it's sort of a soft holdout too, and that's kind of what he did last time. He sort of like hinted at, hey, I could hold out. Like, what did he miss? Like 2 days the last time?
It was 5.
Was it that much?
Yeah, I think it was 5.
Was it that much? But it wasn't a fully committed all the way and hold out. And plus the rules were different. He was still on his rookie contract at the time, and those guys don't get fined. If you're on a veteran contract like he is now, you get fined $30,000 a day, I think, or $50,000 a day. It's some big number like that. So there, the last CBA really hurt guys who want to hold out. Look, choosing what Alvin is worth based on the market is impossible because Christian McCaffrey's making $19 million a year in his latest extension. Same draft class, same amount of years. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of time, they were the same type of player, runner, receiver, over 1,500 yards from scrimmage, doing a little of everything. There were some years where Alvin early in his career was better than Christian McCaffrey or more productive than Christian McCaffrey. So I get wanting to compare yourself to him. The rest of that draft class, they've all, Dalvin Cook was having a very similar career to Alvin. Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, none of these guys are getting paid now. Their market has fallen out. So the gap between Christian McCaffrey's $19 million a year and like the $6-8 million a year those guys are getting now, it's a scary place to be. And again, if the Saints are betting on him, they've got Alvin at $11.8 million right now this year, which is probably a very fair salary. It's like the 3rd or 4th highest in the league this year, and that's fair for Alvin based on what he's done. If he's now saying he wants that kind of money a year from now, when he's a year older and he's got another 200 touches under his belt, and they have to predict what he's going to look like a year from now, I think it's going to get hard for them to pay, especially in an era where the Saints are now being a little more stingy with their pocketbook and thinking a little more long term. So if I was the arbitrator on this, I'd have a tough time. I mean, it's set up perfectly for the Saints to have Alvin for one more year on that deal and then get to make a decision next year. Alvin's the one who probably has to press to try to force them into something because this is set up nicely for the Saints the way the timing worked.
Well, let's talk about that, Kenny. Like, is the situation set up for him to press? Like, given what they have.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I understand why he would want to press because otherwise he's going to be a 30-year-old running back.
But I think he can press kind of a little bit because, like, if you look at their situation, who's taking his place?
Who's taking those snaps?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like,
so Jamal is good. Do it.
Yeah,
who's taking those snaps?
Yeah. I mean, like, Kendre hasn't. There wasn't anything we've seen through 5 practices.
Kendre's slow start to his career has really helped out.
He hasn't come and grabbed anything. Jamal Williams hasn't come and grabbed anything. Jordan Mims hasn't. Taysom being good kind of sets off a little bit. There's a little bit of a fallback plan. But
positions.
If you take Alvin out of this mix, I don't know what plan B is. And, practically speaking, the guys in the front office can be patient as hell. The people on the field, they all kind of need Alvin to be out there. So there is a little bit of leverage in that sense if Alvin is actually willing to sit out a season. But then you get to the point like, okay, is he willing to set out a season for a new contract? Because then he comes back, he's still under contract and he's 30.
Right.
So, and you don't get an accrued season. So technically he's still 2 years, he's still in the spot. So it's tough.
You don't want him to be a discontented, but he would lose so much in fines. He would lose so much money if he didn't play, and he never redid his deal. So his salary is like close to $10 million. He would lose all that. It's not like he already got it in the form of a bonus. He would lose a lot. So he'd probably come back, maybe unhappy, maybe not. But even if he's unhappy, he'd still be a guy who's in the final year of his contract who needs to show the league what he is if he wants to get the contract he wants. So, it is tough. It's a tough position for him to be in. And like I said, when we saw the DeMario and Tyron contracts, I thought Alvin would be the next one, and we'd see it right after. So I'm really curious. And look, he said the other day, and I believed him, that he seems pretty eager to play in this offense. He thinks this offense is going to be good for him. He's trying to show everyone what he's worth. He's trying to show everyone that he's like McCaffrey and throw out the other comps to other 29-year-old guys. he can only do that if he plays and succeeds in this offense.
Yeah.
So it stinks that it's come to this, but it makes perfect sense. And look, we talked about this. Drew Brees had one of these. Michael Thomas had one of these. Like
Alvin Kamara had one.
Alvin Kamara had one of
Jimmy
these.
Graham went to court.
Yeah.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had one of these. I mean,
well, those are bad ones, but there's good ones too.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't automatically. I mean, this is the business of the NFL. We see it all the time. It doesn't automatically mean it's going to turn out bad. And we talked about this for 15 minutes because it's really hard to decide what his next contract's supposed to look like.
It was kind of nuts how ugly the last one got very, very quickly. Like the trade rumors and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think it's turns into that kind of type of spectacle. Like if he were to actually get traded, like I think it would just happen now. Like you wouldn't hear about it. You know, I think the reasons you used to hear about those things are you know,
relocated.
They're relocated now. Yeah.
Sure. That's a great way to put it. Well, talking about things that are unprecedented at this kind of point, let's go to our next segment presented by Shawberry Insurance, the Earhart Agency.
Pause. Just I think it's interesting too, like the money that's kind of still on his contract for this year, like it's not guaranteed. Like the guaranteed money's already been paid out. Like he doesn't really have guaranteed. There's $1 million, I think, guaranteed this year. So if it were to get toxic, and I'm not saying it will, like it's just for the complete analysis, and that's what we do here. We analyze things from A to Z. Like, you know, it's a doable thing that doesn't really change your financial reality.
Yeah. Well, our next segment presented by Shawberry Insurance, the Earhart Agency, is about Juwan Johnson. You reported last.
And it's after June 1st. So
all right, hold on. I want to throw in one more thing.
Hit it.
We might be being unfair to Alvin too. We don't know for sure that the Saints didn't approach him and try to tell him he had to take a pay cut too. Like it is possible that the Saints are asking for things that ruffled Kamara's feathers. We're
like
not
a pay cut in the sense that like your next contract is worth less than
current or even current. Like we don't know for 100% sure. Like he's due $11.8 million this year. Maybe they were trying to say, hey, look, that's untenable for us. You know, I don't know that for sure, but I just want to say, since we do not know everything that has taken place in those conversations, we don't want to paint it like Alvin is the only one who has a problem with the current deal. Maybe the Saints feel like he's making too much too. We just don't. We haven't gotten down to every detail yet.
Well, look, Alvin should try to take care of his situation. That's your job as a person, as a businessman. He's smart. He's more aware than a lot of people about a lot of things, and he's aware of probably what it means to be a running back in the final year of your contract. And if you are a disposable part to a team, how those guys typically get used in those final years. They don't care about what happens.
He's so Mark.
You have to take care of yourself. Like, and I'm not saying the Saints would do this to him. I'm just saying globally, typically, like when a running back is in the final year of his contract, you see that guy get 287 carries and then they go off and nobody cares what happens, you know? So, I mean,
tough position.
No, you have to speak up for yourself and take care of yourself. And the Saints have to take care of whatever they think is right. It's business here. Like everybody's got to take care of their own side. I don't think anybody should acquiesce for anybody or anything like that. Like Saints should handle their business. Alvin should handle his, and hopefully everybody can find a middle ground on it. I mean, that's kind of what you're hoping for here.
Yeah. Let's roll on to our next segment presented by Shawberry Insurance, the Earhart Agency. Another player we didn't see was Juwan Johnson. You broke Wednesday night that he's out with a foot injury and is going to need surgery and possibly be out throughout the duration of training camp. Just give an update kind of on his injury. Dennis Allen didn't give a lot, so you the one that broke it, so take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when this actually happened. You know, he was fine at OTAs the last time we saw him, and then he wasn't fine for minicamp. It sounds like that was the same timeline that DA had. Like he was not hurt, and then he was hurt. And
DA said it wasn't one incident where he got hurt. It had been nagging at him, and they checked it out.
Yeah, so something that just kind of progressively got to that situation. But yeah, he has a foot fracture. Is going to need surgery. It's going to keep him out for a while, like you said, in the training camp. You know, I've heard variable accounts here, but I think everybody kind of agrees that it's definitely at least slightly possible that it's could touch the season. The hope is that it doesn't, but it's in that window where you kind of have to look at everything. Like he could be back, you know, before or one little thing, you know, that's where you're at in those things, but it's going to be cutting it close. It sounds like for the start of the season, and you can even get back on the field late August, and you just got to progressively build up to be ready for the start of the season. So I think that start of the season is something to keep an eye on. I think that's part of the story here is, you know, seeing if he can beat that timeline out. Tough reality for their tight end room.
You talk.
Yeah, no, go ahead and ask it.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, do they have the people in the tight end room? I know we talk about a lot of guys, but do they have?
No, they don't. That's the problem. Now, I'm not saying Juwan Johnson's irreplaceable because we already had him targeted as a guy who needed to prove a lot this season to hang on to his spot as tight end 1 or co-tight end 1 with Foster Moreau. But you take him out of the mix. Now Foster Moreau is tight end 1. Taysom Hill is whatever he is. And these young guys we've been talking about standing out in camp, Michael Jacobson and Dallin Holker, what are they, tight end 2 and 3, 3 and 4? I mean, they obviously have to bring someone in, but I think anyone they bring in is going to look like a Nick Van Nett type. Like, I don't think all of a sudden they're going to bring in a real legitimate like stud tight end here. So, yeah, I mean, opportunities for young guys, but Juwan Johnson, we thought they might upgrade and add to that position. It was kind of the one that they most surprisingly didn't add to, I think, in free agency or the draft. And now they're already caught super thin at that position, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, Sal Cannella worked out after the practice today. I don't think they can sign him until Tuesday. So if they want to sign him, I don't think that would be a transaction that happens until next week. But I mean, yeah, I think it's probably that level of player that probably comes in. Look, he was really good in that league, though. So maybe there's a little bit something there. He is more of an F. That is kind of what they need. Get somebody that can have some of that movement. I think Foster Moreau probably gives you more of like the Y stuff that you need at that position. So not irreplaceable, but it's someone that needs to be replaced. And it's not an easy replacement. It's not easy to find a guy that, I think that the funny thing about Juwan is that I feel like the variance of outcomes are just so drastic. You could tell me that he could finish the year with 300 yards. You could tell me 900, and I would believe both. Like both outcomes seem possible. So
900 seems less possible now. Though.
Yeah,
I mean, it really does.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Which is a huge blow to him because he was also in a contract year this year.
And this is an offense that I think would have, I don't know. I feel like it would have helped him.
Yeah.
And it still might, but I mean, you're hitting the ground.
Yeah, you don't want to wipe out an entire training camp in a new offense.
Mike, you talked to Dallin Holker in the locker room. Kind of what were some of his thoughts?
Well, he could be one of those movement type of tight ends. Actually, the question with him, and I thought DA gave a really detailed answer on what they still need to see from him that they just don't know yet, which is, well, when we put the pads on, he's a smaller guy. Can he block and do some of the physical stuff that tight ends need to do? But the movement stuff, man, if you just came out and watched the Saints practice, you would assume that guy was their starting tight end. He might lead the team in catches. He had 3 more big ones today, including a deep catch from Peterman. He had, I think he had a touchdown in 7-on-7. He was just, that guy's been really active. But to think, I mean, like I said, smaller guy, we already have seen Juwan Johnson try to be more valuable as a blocker, and he's a big dude. So I mean, he could get some catches in this offense, maybe get a chance to be active and get some playing time in this offense. But I don't think that covers it exactly. But the opportunity's there now. I mean, it has been, as advertised so far.
You know what I just thought about? I think he's on Minnesota right now, but N'Keal Harry, who's a former first-round pick, they're putting size on him for him to play tight end. So could that possibly happen with like Equinemius St. Brown or somebody like that?
I mean,
just
that's
to
what they
like find
did.
ways to get him on the roster.
That's what they did with Juwan Johnson.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, this is, I'm a little more, I mean, I think Taysom Hill will catch more passes in this offense, and you can find guys to catch passes and stuff. But a guy who's going to line up at tight end and be able to do the, I can be a blocker or a pass catcher. I don't know that you're going to find that with anybody on the current roster.
Yeah.
Stick around. When we come back, we'll continue our mini camp coverage, and then we'll hit our Martin's question of the day. Keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football.
Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana. They were founded in 1980 and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. And Total Maintenance wants to show some love to our NOF listeners. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. It will never increase. Total Maintenance has a tune-up special running this summer for $79, down from the normal price of $179. This is a one-time offer for one system only. They also offer a free diagnostic on second opinions on units deemed to be unrepairable, and they offer free estimates for replacements as well as commercial maintenance programs. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000.
Are you tired of renting and ready to own your dream home? Contact Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, your trusted source for home loans. Our competitive rates and flexible terms can help make your home ownership dreams a reality. If you're a first-time home buyer or looking to refinance, our experienced lenders are here to help. Our online application process allows you to apply on your schedule. It's quick, easy, and convenient. Visit us online at jeffersonfinancial.org to learn more. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience.
Welcome back to our studio on Veterans Memorial Boulevard. It is now time for our next segment presented by Hard High Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. Let's talk about the action we did see on the field this Thursday. Who was out there looking good?
Well, we just mentioned Dallin Holker, who has been one of the best guys in all of camp, and it was highlight after highlight again today, with almost one of each from every quarterback, too. But the showstopper for me was the last drive of the entire spring. We got the 2-minute drill drive, and we saw highlights from both sides on it. Early on in the drive, the Saints got down to a 4th down because of pass breakups by Pete Werner and Marshawn Lattimore, and Derek Carr barely squeezed one in to Cedric Wilson, who had to dive to the turf just to keep the drive alive. Clock was ticking down, got down to another 4th down. Last play, 4 seconds left, about the 12-yard line, and he hits Chris Olave in the back of the end zone, getting a step on Marshawn Lattimore coming across the back of the end zone. So one for Marshawn, the bigger one for Olave. What more do you want to see on the last play of the first string offense of the spring than Derek Carr throwing a last-second game-winning touchdown pass to Chris Olave?
Yeah, he looked good there. Definitely, he shook free of that coverage in the back of the end zone. It was a nice battle between those two guys. There was a throw earlier in that same session that Marshawn broke up to Olave, so it was a nice little back and forth. Kind of cool to see that battle play out. And I mean, we've seen it before, but it was always kind of like the headliner that we were always at least trying to see was Mike versus Marshawn, and I was kind of shifted to Chris versus Marshawn, and it's just kind of cool to see like the second act of that. So that was cool to watch. I thought Equiminius St. Brown had another great catch today. They did a 7-on-7 near the goal line. That was a good session. Just overall, the competitiveness of it overall was really good.
The best catch in that session was A.T. Perry, though. He totally mossed Rez John right now. A.T. Perry had one broken up.
He did.
And taken away from him. But and then the next time they threw to him, he was not letting that one go.
He bounced back and he let us know, hey, I got that. Yeah.
But you're right. That was a good session. It was one of the most spirited sessions of all of camp. It was a fun one to watch, including Brandon had the spot standing up on the bleachers. You got the details on the fight?
Brief
skirmish.
You know, in the trenches, things happen. Things go down. You get pushing and shoving and grabbing and pulling and stuff like that. They had I forget his name, but 62. He was in there, and Jeff Coat didn't like what was going on. So
Lucas Patrick.
Yeah, Lucas Patrick and Jeff Coat. They were going at it. Lucas Patrick actually was getting reps because Saldivari went out. So he threw him away, I guess, trying to defend himself. And, once on the line things start happening, everybody comes to it because it's not just going to let people go one-on-one. So it became a big thing, and then it got broken up really quick. But, I mean, it's smelling like that season where people are fighting for jobs, so they start fighting themselves.
Yeah, it was a feisty one today.
It was interesting to see that too. Like we kind of saw the rotation play out at that guard spot without Saldivari out there. It looked like Shane Lemieux ended up being the guy that got all the snaps after, but it looked like Lucas Patrick was maybe a little ahead of him. Like we saw Lemieux kind of in a different offensive drill that wasn't team take those snaps, but then when they went to team, it went to Patrick, and then Patrick got knocked out, and then Lemieux went up into that spot. So maybe a little bit of insight into the depth chart there. Like maybe Patrick's slightly ahead, just kind of going.
And Patrick's
into
also
the
been their
offseason.
number 2 center every day. So Patrick's proven sort of guard center flexibility, I think is going to.
And that's one thing that I did write down too late, and with that second unit on team, with Patrick going up, that moved the guy from Tulane,
Sincere Haynesworth.
Yeah, Sincere Haynesworth, that moved him to center. And he was, he was doing some stuff with the twos. So it's interesting to see just how quick one piece going out changes a lot.
I feel a little better about that depth, though. I mean, Lucas Patrick is a real legitimate guy. They had signed Shane Lemieux and Anthony Herron, I think, after rookie minicamp, and those are two guys who've played real snaps in the NFL. So Oliudo, we have not yet seen in team drills, the guy they signed earlier in camp. So they have veteran fallback options if the other guys don't work out. One other guy had a good day. It wasn't windy out. So Blake Groupie had the field goal kicks today, and they all went straight down the middle. The wind tripped up both kickers at times earlier in camp, but with no wind today, Groupie made it look easy.
Oh, we felt that they didn't have any wind out there today. It got kind of toasty. But kind of just to wrap it up on what we saw today in camp and what we heard today in camp, we got a chance to talk with Derek Carr and Klint Kubiak. Kind of what stood out about their conversation, the conversations that we had with them.
I mean, Kubiak doesn't say a whole lot. You know, it's just kind of just hearing his thought process on a handful of different things. He talked about like the play action and bootlegs and stuff like that they were doing today. And that was something that kind of stood out to me throughout the practices. And you could kind of see how they were building their run game in the play action game off one another. A lot of stuff looked the same. And, you know, honestly, like it kind of got hard to follow. Sometimes your eyes would end up in the wrong place quite a bit. And that's kind of the goal. Like I was watching from the end zone to kind of get that view so you can kind of see how they're blocking the run plays and everything. And it was easy to get fooled by some of the action. And that's good. Like you want that. And then you would just kind of see it. Like the defense too, like just kind of they would set it up really well and then they'd run a boot off it and have kind of a crossing route going into the opposite direction of the zone scheme. And quite often that guy was catching the ball in space off the boot action. And it was just kind of being built really nice. Like I just really liked watching the way they were painting that picture, and then he talked about it and put words to the art, and you know it just kind of all married up and made sense. But that was the big takeaway from just the whole summer, was just kind of just watching how they were building that stuff, and I like it. It makes sense.
Derek Carr said that too in a couple of different answers. Where one he was saying the first 2 seconds of every play looked the same, and he even was joking that he lost weight because he's been working so hard to be athletic on those boots, and he said because he's trying to sell them every single time. And that's something he didn't always do before. The thing I liked about Klint Kubiak, my favorite line from him today, when he tried to make a joke, he tried to lighten things up, and somebody said, what else helps sell play action besides a good run game? And he said, not being in 2nd and 20.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't mean to make a joke. But that's the second time we've heard that now, because he got asked about the red zone during the draft, and he said, I like to do good on early downs in the red zone. That's the key to scoring in the red zone.
Go figure.
Yeah, but the fact that it seems like a core philosophy of him to not be in 2nd and long and 3rd and long, and nothing derailed this team more in recent years than constantly being in 2nd and long and 3rd and long. So if that means, you know, they're going to have 4-yard runs that make it 2nd and 6, and he's willing to do that, and we've obviously seen the quick passing game, they're going to throw 5-yard passes to make it 2nd and 5. Amen. Like maybe that's not exciting. How many times, all they do is dink and dunk. Please give me dink and dunk.
Yeah, Tom Brady won 7 titles dinking and dunking. Look, it's a crazy philosophy, just like to gain yards. You know what I mean? Like Drew
Brees, you can't go broke making a profit.
You get 4 downs.
Right.
If you're going to use 3 of them,
That's
if you
right.
gain 3.3 yards on each one, you're going to get a first down. Like it's wild.
It's a core
philosophy.
It's a core philosophy of this team. I like Derek Carr's answer when I asked him about his history of starting slow and taking time to adjust to new offenses he's been in. And unfortunately, in his long career, he's been in a lot of new offenses. Even with Gruden, his first year was his least productive. Last year, he said it was about half season when it felt like second nature to him. And he said, and I love hearing him say it, instead of being like, oh, that's just a narrative that everyone else talks about, he goes, no, I have asked myself that question. How can I start faster in this offense? And he said he's working harder. He said it's been one of his favorite off seasons. He said he's tired from how hard he's worked because that's his goal is start fast in this new offense because he knows that that's a real thing, not just for him, for anyone in a new offense, and he wants to combat it the best he can.
That's the one thing that stood out to me was him talking about the mental grind and how it's been taking a toll on him mentally, just like, man, I'm having to think about a lot of stuff, so this break will be good, kind of to let him reset and then come back in and continue to build upon the stuff that he's learned so far. But that'll take us into our Martin Wine and Spirits questions of the day. The first, Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's, so much more than just wine. The first question comes from Lindy. They ask, how is Kubiak's offense different from Josh McDaniels' offense that Carr struggled with?
I mean, they're completely different. I mean, they're just completely different systems. One's Earhart Perkins. That's the McDaniels one. This one's West Coast. Like, just the philosophies are completely different. That McDaniels offense is just, it's built on a lot of like option routes and different things. And you call plays through like concepts, whereas this one is kind of, you're saying everything, X, Y, Z. Like, you're kind of building everything out. So the way the plays are called, the way you attack the field's different. It's just, it's just a different system. They're both cars, but they aren't both the same types of cars. So, it's just not the same. And I think some of the stuff that they were doing in that offense, you just heard some things about the way McDaniels was running it. I mean, obviously he lost his job there, for a reason because it wasn't working. But yeah, it's just a different offense. And I think when Carr has been at his best, like he was in other West Coast systems, like that's Gruden. Gruden is West Coast through and through. I know like Sean has his tentacles touching like the Gruden tree and all that stuff, but like he wasn't running a West Coast offense. Like it was different. It had some West Coast isms, but it wasn't West Coast. And this is West Coast, like through and through. So it's just a different offense.
Yeah, the next question comes from Saints Guy. How certain or uncertain are you about who will be starting on the offensive line this year?
I'm certain of who's getting the opportunity to win those jobs. I mean, they are giving Trevor Penning and Nick Saldiveri every opportunity to win the right tackle and left guard jobs. And there's a lot of other places where there's rotating and there's competition. Like we said, Jay Kaner and Spencer Rattler. Like we've seen in years past, every other day. These aren't every other day jobs. Trevor Penning, every day we were out there. Saldiveri, every day until he got hurt today. Certain that they'll pull it off and that they'll both earn it and prove they deserve it. Certain is not the word I would use. I mean, they've got every chance. But, the fallback options like Landon Young, like Lucas Patrick, like Oli Udoh are waiting there if those guys. It's sink or swim for those two guys.
Let's just do it, man. Left tackle, will it be Tali Fuaga?
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah,
100%.
We're locked in on that. Universally
Book
locked
it.
in. I'm locked in.
Yeah.
Left guard, Nick Saldiveri.
Yeah.
If he's healthy, yeah.
Yeah. Certain, not certain. I mean, like I said, I think Lucas Patrick's a real player. Dennis Allen mentioned the other day, Oli Udoh will maybe compete for him at that job. Those are guys who have, double-digit starts in the NFL. So he's not going to be handed it, but I'm going to bet on him, yeah.
Yeah, I think he wins it. Center, yeah. Right guard, yeah.
Right tackle.
Trevor Penning.
I feel the same way. I'm going to bet. I'm not going to bet.
You feel wait.
I feel the same way about him that I feel about Nick Saldiveri. I'm going to slightly bet on him hanging on to it, but all along I've been like 51% Penning, and I'm still 51% Penning. Yeah.
Okay.
What about you? Why'd you hold up?
Because I didn't know you were putting them in the same, but you gave it a percentage number of 51%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see it, but I would be more certain that Saldiveri would start.
Yeah, I feel more certain about Saldiveri than Penning. I felt more certain about Penning, like the first OTA
the first time we saw it. Yeah,
it was like, oh, he's gonna do this. He made it look easy,
right.
And then like you kind of see like a little bit more as it goes on.
He was catching the blues today. It was
Yeah, I mean, I think he ends up getting it. I definitely feel stronger about Saldiveri than I do about him though.
Yeah. His size with the pads on and stuff like that, you can put your body in positions to hide some of the like you say, warts and stuff that you'll see. But I think he'll have it. I think he'll have it, but it wouldn't be as certain as South.
I don't like seeing Nick Saldiveri leaving with a hamstring or groin injury. It could be very minor.
Yeah.
It could be a thing where he would
He's
be
got
back
6
the
weeks,
next day.
But yeah, you lose some time.
He was banged up last year too. He's
Yeah.
got to prove that that's
fair point.
not an issue.
Going
That's a
back
good
to
point.
talking to Kubiak and stuff, Kubiak said, like, I like the talking about Trevor Penning. He said, I like the way he works. I like how important the game is to him. He's no different than anybody else who we're going to be coached. We're going to coach him hard and expect a lot out of him. So we'll see what happens when he puts the pads on. So I guess that's what it all boils down to.
He's got
to
a
put the pads
real
on.
training camp to come. I mean,
He has to.
joint practices with the Niners.
None of
3
them fights, none of that.
preseason
It's not
games,
time for none
6
of that. You
weeks.
got to be,
Yep.
you got to be down to
Yep.
business and get
Yep.
in the trenches and make it happen. Well, that'll do it for the NewOrleans.Football show. We appreciate y'all for being subscribed. You did 3 straight days with us. We thank y'all and we appreciate y'all. If you aren't subscribed, you still have a chance to subscribe going into this off season, because when we kick off in training camp, it's going to be rolling. It's going to be rolling. So you want to be a part of that. Overtime is next. Keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football and catch you next time.